This is the San Francisco Bay, and it was home to some of the goofiest, craziest music you've ever seen. So I grabbed some of the biggest songs to try and see what made Hyphy into an inescapable movement in 2006. I broke down the melody, vocals, drums, and bass, but it all starts with the first big rapper from the Bay.
And, you know, I came about like exactly the same time as that whole Boys in the Hood NWA thing, and you know, just this whole, when the West Coast turned platinum, I was there.
Too Short moved from LA to Oakland in 1980, the same year that he started rapping, and he kept selling cassette mixtapes until he got his first big label album, Born to Mac, in 1987.
I met this girl, her name was John. She loved the way I rock on the microphone.
This was Too Short's first album in a professional studio, and I think the song Freaky Tales is a good example of how the process he had was a little different.
If you keep pushing the bass up louder, when you press up the wax, the needle's not gonna stay in the groove. And I'm like, we're not pressing up wax. We're doing fucking cassettes. Turn the fucking bass up. And my mission was, literally, I wanted to make you blow your fucking speakers out in your car.
I met another girl, her name was Anne. All she wanted was to freak with a man. When I met...
The sound of this bass comes from a synth playing some kind of saw wave. That's then covered in a low-pass filter, with the resonance parameter turned up a bit. And then you can adjust the filter so that it slides down when you play the note. So as this...
My guy know the logistics. You know what I mean? Shout out Sound Selection. We finna get to it.
The frequency spike slides down, it creates the sound of this synth bass.
Her name was John. She loved the way I rock on the microphone.
This bass sound in the Bay was different from what was going on down in LA with G-Funk, which was using basses with a flat filter like what you hear in this Snoop Dogg song. Vallejo, responsible for some of Mobb music.
Hey, 40 been around for some time, bruh. Still around. Hey, he doing a little fool shit now. He got hella endeavors, basically, but it ain't little. You know, I ain't trying to downplay his endeavors. He doing his shit though, bro. Shout out 40's
biggest tracks, like Captain Save a Ho. And this song has that same wompy bass sound that was different from LA, but the rest of the song still had plenty of similarities, since everyone was using the same show up all over Dr. Dre's music.
Like this and it's like that and like this and like that and it's like this and like that and like this and Dre creep to the mic like a fan.
Mobb music never reached escape velocity. Maybe it wasn't separate enough from G-Funk, or maybe nothing could survive the death of Tupac and Death Row. But Mobb music stopped selling as much in the mid-90s, and the biggest rapper out of the Bay so far was MC Hammer.
You can't touch this.
So the Bay would need to find a new sound.
So when I did the solo album, the Keak the Sneak album, I did a song called Alright Cool, the Pink Panther beat, you feel me?
So Keak was who brought it back, huh? Yeah, that makes sense. That's right on track. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's what really started the Hyphy movement. You know what I'm talking about?
99 expedition with the TVs in it. Keep the trees brought the only way I breathe in it. And so I took strikes living in the ninth inning. And smack over the gate, I hit the plate, now I'm grinning.
Keak the Sneak was from Oakland, and at this point still a local rapper, when he released the song Alright Cool on his first album, Sneakicidal. And as for what made this song different, G-Funk had slowed West Coast hip-hop down to around 90 beats per minute, if not slower. And the Bay was bringing it back up, even past 110 beats per minute. Not insanely fast, but still enough to make the songs more energetic. And the melody of Alright Cool is sampled from the Pink Panther theme, which has a saxophone and the sort of unexpected things, usually from an orchestra like horns or something, that's...
So Keak, we gotta trace this shit back to Keak, huh? Keak innovated Hyphy? I think he did, bro. That's crazy.
The playful tone of Hyphy music. Keak may have released the first Hyphy song back in 1999, but it wasn't all the way until 2005 that he released the song that would literally define the movement. The song Super Hyphy was produced by Traxamillion, probably on a keyboard like the Roland Phantom X6, and as far as the melody here, the song has these synth beeps that I think are like the typical bass sound, with how they're on the beat and have some up and down motion.
I don't put that on, that's my word.
And a lot of times, the melody in Hyphy music would be no melody at all, and the song would just be drums, like here at the beginning.
Hyphy come from the word hyper, you know what I mean? Kids eat some candy or something, they just hype, they won't sit down, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what the word, you know.
The Hyphy movement continued to grow over the early 2000s.
I think Keak was saying Hyphy way back in 3 Times Crazy era though. That's what's crazy. I think that's the first time I ever heard it.
And even though Keak the Sneak was the one that kicked everything off, the face of the movement would become someone else.
What's up, y'all? Mac Dre. My boy, we out here, you know what I'm saying, at the laboratory. I took a quick time out to come fuck with y'all real quick, you know what I mean?
Mac Dre was a rapper from Vallejo who had his early career.
We're Brodusky from Sounds. Where you from, Sounds Elation?
He came up with the word when you're on ecstasy and you're dancing and having fun, you're fizzing.
You know what I'm saying? It really was for a happy feeling. When they hear fizz, we wanted them to think of a party.
The word fizz may have first been about taking drugs, but it eventually grew to cover an entire way of life in the Bay, one that Mac Dre made available for home viewing on a series of DVDs.
Welcome to your first episode of Trill TV. I'm your host, Thizzle, Washington.
Trill TV was Mac Dre's way of covering every aspect of thizzology, from the cars.
Hey, man, come check out some of these whips, man. Yay area style. I'm in motion.
To whatever shenanigans Dre would get up to in the Bay.
I'm finna stop here real quick. We just making a quick stop. My boy Knievel, you know Evil. My nigga Evil out there, this nigga finna do something dumb on the bike real quick.
All of this would help spread the Thizzle movement around the Bay, and everything reached its height with Mac Dre's 2004 album, Ronald Reagan.
I'm out of this world, not your run of the millin'. My name is Furrow, I'm the owner of the building.
Hey, summer jams, all the function, all the little Bay Area function was just during that time, bro, was crazy. I ain't gonna lie, and it's hard. Like bro was trying to explain Hyphy. You know, I'm gonna touch on that.
And I'm chilling with two bitches like Jack. I pimps and I mag, drive a Benz on the lack.
Feelin' Myself is a classic song from the Bay, and as far as the lyrics here, they make an effort to be more positive, at least in contrast to the gangster rap that had been popular earlier.
I got a taste for wasting and tasting the blood murder. I heard her when she screamed and dropped cause the sun caught the slug.
This doesn't mean Hyphy never talked about illegal things, and the music had even more of an emphasis on pimpin' specifically, but all with kinds of weird sounds you can find in Hyphy music.
I'm feeling myself. I'm in the building and I'm feeling myself. Yeah, I'm feeling myself.
You know, it's crazy, bro, because it ain't really no good representations of what Hyphy really was caught on camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, the best times, bro, ain't on camera, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's I mean, even like how I referenced, I told you to go check out Go Dumb USA or what's the other shit? It just whatever, right? Even that wasn't really a good representation. It was cool though. I feel like Trill Television, Trill TV 1 is kind of the closest thing to the vibe or whatever. But I don't, you know, I still feel like it ain't. You just had to be there.
As to what his street cred is. He already did time. You know, they already know what he's about. So if he wants to experiment, so to speak, with identity and voices and all these types of things, more power to him.
Mac Dre really seemed to be the figure carrying the Thizzle movement, which makes it all the more tragic in 2004 when he was killed.
They're driving on Highway 71 in Kansas City. When a black Infiniti approaches the car from the driver's side and unloads, I think, just over 30 bullets, 31 bullets.
Hyphy and Thizzle were two different things. But with Dre no longer around, Hyphy soon took over the Bay, but by no means was Dre forgotten, and the Bay rallied around his legacy stronger than just about any other artist I've seen.
When Dre passed away, like the love was overwhelming. It's like everybody just poured in, like, you know, because like I say, Dre, you only had a happy experience with Dre.
So Mac Dre became the face of Hyphy, and the whole movement turned into a synthesis of everything in the Bay, setting it all up to go national and become more popular than ever before.
Tell me when to go.
Tell me when to go.
Tell Me When to Go is a good representation. 40 in his 40 did a good job at capturing the moment with that one. I ain't gonna lie to you. And it's a trip, right? Because I was finna say it kind of felt like the movement was kind of like about to fizzle out with Dre, but then they brought it back. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool. You know.
Back on the track Super Hyphy.
For sure, know what I mean, she's got the mean, for sure, know what I mean, she's got the mean, for sure, know what I mean, she's.
All of this Little John, who was visiting from the South where he had exploded the crunk movement with songs like Get Low, that I think have a lot of the same production. He didn't only work with E40 and Sneak the Keak.
I go on and on, can't understand.
Like Get Low, that I think have a lot of the same production. When Little John came to the Bay, he didn't only work with E40. Came 29 years into his career when he made Blow the Whistle with Little John. It brought Too Short into Hyphy along with another sound from the Bay. Back to the start of Too Short's career, where that synth was using a sliding.
Man, how I last so long? I must have superpowers. Rap 225,000 hours.
Too Short's biggest song came 29 years into his career when he made Blow the Whistle with Little John. It brought Too Short into Hyphy, the start of Too Short's career, where that synth was using a sliding filter on songs like Freaky Tales.
Her name was Josh. She loved the way I rock on the microphone.
You know, it's crazy. A lot of the mainstream, except for Dre, a lot of the shit that you heard, like, that went mainstream, and not to knock him, because, like, niggas like Keak, he had real shit that was really played in the streets that was hyphy, right? Just to, like an example of some hyphy music would be like, or a hyphy song that was listened to in the streets would be like Burt Street. It's a song. DB got a song called Burt. See, DB was running that era. I ain't gonna lie to you. DB was kind of like one of them niggas in that era for sure.
Not to say this is the only bass you find in Hyphy music, and sometimes the bass would just be the kick drum, like back in the song Super Hyphy with a sort of drum machine or 808 kick.
For sure, know what I mean, she's got the mean, for sure, know what I mean, she's got the mean, for sure, know what I mean, she's.
And sometimes the bass in Hyphy music would just be a bass guitar or whatever gets the job done, especially in the music of Mac Dre, where really anything was possible. There was a pretty steep fall off afterwards, with all of these artists still releasing music but Little John. So now that we've got this far, here's a summary from Too Short of music in the Bay.
You got Too Short and E40. Everybody's gonna say, man, they the ones that set it off. And then you got Mac Dre and Keak the Sneak. And they came along and they just, you know, took all the youngsters and just whipped them in a frenzy.
Notice that Hyphy started having a comeback around the late 2010s, and part of that is from the Bay staying relevant. A new generation of artists in the Bay that were making their own version of Hyphy music, with one of the biggest being the group SOB/RBE.
Fuck niggas saying, Glock in the party, I be strapped like a gay bitch. Niggas lane changer, don't know where they lane is. I carry big bills, nah nigga, I ain't changing.
Yeah, shout out sound selection. It's, you know, it's a trip, cause like, so you see how he played that last song? Example of some hyphy shit for today, right? In today's time would be the boy Black Benz, Kai Benji. What them niggas doing? They wouldn't probably classify it as that, but that's like some up to date hyphy music. Anything that's like, it's the hyphy shit still got an influence. Like, and hyphy wasn't just like, it's like a nigga who like, you know how they say, he say energetic, but it's really like, you just got a spunk and pizzazz about yourself. Like, somebody who from LA, it's like the equivalent to extra out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's hyphy a little bit. Like, somebody like 4 Extra would be considered a hyphy nigga in the Bay, and then getting in that state of mind would be considered you getting hyphy. You know what I'm saying? Something similar though, type shit. Like, somebody who just don't really, you know, like fake unorthodox a little bit. But yeah, bro, that's why Drake came to the. I could imagine Drake was a youngster, and he probably had witnessed the culture firsthand, or anybody who witnessed the Hyphy movement firsthand, know it wasn't no goofy shit and know it was a time. You understand me? I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. So it be like a lot of misconsumptions and niggas be playing like, but even in that time, like for people to try to like say whatever they say about it, it wasn't like a time. It was cool though. At the same time though, but like, you know, only certain motherfuckers was really out. Everybody was outside, but it's crazy. It was like it was good, but at the same time, everybody knew. You know, it wasn't none of the. It's hard to explain, bro. It was just a time. It really is. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think. It was a lot more camaraderie, bro. It was a lot more camaraderie. It was hella black shit. Like, just think of it like a big ass party for like hella years, ongoing though. Like a party every day, just you know, and hella camaraderie, hella black shit going on, hella you know. I'm sure it was still conflicts or whatever have you, but it was that was like. A fight that get broke up by the crowd because we trying to have a good time type shit, like, you know, or you know, it's hard to explain. I ain't gonna lie to you. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think. We on to the next one.
Say yo, you can't playing with that paper, ho.